Yeah, welcome. Thanks for coming to my house to do this interview.
Got done. And afterwards, you may discover that it was a hell of a mistake. He's intelligent enough to see that woman of his choice, as one says, not no choice, he has been captured. Yeah. You know, he sees that she's no good at all, that she's a hell of a business. And he tells me so, and he said, for God's sake, doctor, help me to get rid of that woman. He can't. He's like playing of things. And that is the archetype. That is so the archetype of the animal. Yes. He thinks it is all his soul. Like
moment that I saw you, eyes like the summer rain, knew that I was done for, ready to take the dive just to ease my pain, hoping you would feed my soul in the way I would do for you if you asked me to. Waiting for years and years, biding my time, hiding my tears, hiding my tears. No, I knew you better than you wished I would. Seeing in your troubled eyes, I'm sorry that I touched your mind. I'm sorry that I learned all the things you knew. But I wish you would, I wish you would, I wish you would, I wish you would. Let me go, let me go, let me go.
Welcome one, welcome all to yet another edition of Seco Sessions. Today joining us is an incredibly special guest visiting all the way from New York to our humble town of Taos. He's racked up well over 7 million streams on Spotify, SoundCloud, and YouTube, and has played with the likes of Joy Pecoraro. So please give a warm welcome to Edo Lee. Edo Lee, thank you so much for joining us today. It's such an honor to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me, bro.
Yeah, for sure. Before I start asking you about the performance that you just did, I'd like to get a bit of a background on you in general. Where did it begin for you, the wave of music?
I guess I was taught by my friends that were actually in school for it. So shouts out to them. My friends, my good childhood friend Justin, known as Iota. All I did was play saxophone and like some guitar, like in a band, and saxophone in school. But then he was hanging out with a lot of people that were rapping, and he was like, we need more beats. I like these types of beats. Somebody had an MPC. I mean, I think we were like 20 at the time. This is like yeah, he was at NYU, and like, yeah, we just started spending all of our time doing that. So chopping records and, you know, sampling. Like I got totally enamored with the idea of sampling because I was already interested in collage. So like I love the idea of collage, like in music.
Cool. Yeah, and I was actually curious. I was wondering what came first, like the beats or the instruments, but it sounds like you were playing instruments at first, but then very quickly got into the whole sampling bit.
Yeah, because I was already I was really interested in like jazz guitar, samba guitar, like because I had a background like playing saxophone and in school like jazz band type stuff, which was kind of beating me over the head, like reading music. I didn't like it once I realized I could play guitar, like make up my own stuff. Like that background and my mom teaching me a lot of folk guitar and like finger picking and samba music, that made me so much more confident to like play on my own music or just like take a sample from, I don't know, like, you know, whatever, Gaetano Veloso or like one of these Brazilian guys and learn it, or like at least learn like a few of the chords and then make my own tune like based off of that, just taking it like and then sampling myself, which I did a lot on those earlier records that I like. And yeah, well, that's my telephone. Let me turn it off. The music, yeah, definitely instruments came first because my mom pushed us hard to do that. You know, she really wanted us to be very musical.
Sweet. Shout out mom.
Shout out to Mama Barbara, teaching kids in the Bronx from Taos right now, which is crazy.
Oh wow, no kidding.
Yeah, she's been staying. We've all been kind of hunkered down together for a bit.
Awesome. Well, let's talk about your performance here on Seco Sessions. You just did a moment ago. I'd love to peek into your process a bit. What initiates the inspiration for you? Is it the sample first? Do you come up with a melody first?
Almost like 3 or 4 years ago, I got my heart broken like really, really bad. And I was actually here for a chunk of that. And then I went to Spain. I traveled a lot, kind of lost my mind, you know, went on a big hiatus from music. And then realizing like I'm not just Edo Lee. I'm like a person that likes to build things and likes to travel. I like to make clothes. I like to, you know, just do other shit. So I took a lot of time off. And what kept me kind of sane has always been music, but writing actual lyrics and writing a real song was something I was inspired by my friend Joe St. James, who's a songwriter. And like, I never considered that as even like something I wanted to do. So what was the question again? Oh yeah, about the song. So yeah, that song was definitely heartbreak song. And at the beginning is like a Carl Jung sample from one of his like documentaries. And it's all about like the tribulations of falling head over heels, you know, and then getting so angry at the world and yourself because you're like, how did I let this happen to me? You know, put all my eggs in the basket. But it's also like, I would do it again just because I learned so much, you know. So
Sure.
There's nothing wrong with it, but it's also like, you know, the beauty and delusion of like falling in love with somebody, or even the idea of somebody. It doesn't even have to be romantic. So it's like even just that, you know, just tripping over expectations, you know, stuff like that. But with the song itself, I think it was like an old Greek sample that's in the background, like a little like Greek mandolin sample I got off of a record. I used to go to a lot of estate sales and just like buy crates of records, you know, just be like, oh, I'll give you $10 for that whole thing. Like, I like don't even know what's in there.
Just pull samples off of it in that way.
Yeah. I mean, it's like digging into, you know, history. So
Sure. For anyone who knows Edo Lee, certainly they'll know of Black Coffee, which is your biggest hit to date so far, which has over 5.25 million streams on Spotify alone. And that doesn't count for SoundCloud and YouTube. And I'll ask you more about the SoundCloud and YouTube portion of it later. But first off, I kind of wanted to know how Black Coffee came to be, and if you remembered the day that you first started working on it.
I dropped out of school out of Boston. I guess I was like 20, 21 or something. And then I was in this house and I had these speakers that were like this big, like, and they were like giant house speakers that I found on the street that were all wet, like full of like I don't know, rats living in them, who cares? But I used to have these giant speakers and this whole house to myself for like 2 months or something. And I just invited all my friends over to record. So that's where I recorded like all of Visions and Sleepwalker. I remember we'd like hang mics off of the rafters so that we could walk around them and like hit stuff, and with my boy Iota. And but I remember that song very distinctly because it was like at the time I was going to the library and raiding their jazz collection. Nice. So I'd go and get like 10 CDs, as many as I could really, take them home. Or no, I would burn them at the library as long as I could, and ripping like little like one track off of a record or whatever. Sure. So that song had like 5 different artists on it. I know Peggy Lee's at the end singing Black Coffee, yeah, no, like that part. And then there's like, I think it was I want to say it was Yo-Yo Ma, but I think it was Tandun or something. Was like some orchestral swells, and then I had like Wes Montgomery, like a sampled little guitar lick that goes through it, and then I think it was like the Jazz Messengers is on there, and some of my own sax and some of my own other things. So I don't know, I'm kind of giving it away, but I don't care. The song's old. I slowly like done less and less sampling like over the years. So like this new record I have with my buddy Rob is like there's almost 0 samples on it. I mean, it's also because I've just invested in like my own gear, so I'm not just on a turntable, you know. Right. So I'm not sure if I answered that, but
no, you definitely did. So it's clear that sometimes certain songs just resonate with the people more than others, and outside of the alternate universe that is pop music, I feel like it's nearly impossible to predict what's going to be a hit and what's not. There's something in the song that just really hits with people. And so I'm curious what your thoughts are on Black Coffee and why you think it resonates with the people more.
I mean, there's a sort of a warmth to the speakers that you use. So a lot of those, like that record sounds the way it does because I mixed on really ancient house speakers. Sure. So it has this very like warm, like the way I EQ'd things was designed for that. So they sounded good on those speakers rather than on something that had like a lot of really highs to it. But I mean, I feel like I like as much, I try to put a lot of balance in the songs, if I can put enough balance so that there's always a very warm center that has like, that you feel like in your chest, and then the rest of it is kind of flowing around you, like, or the bass is just kind of carrying the beat. I don't really know how to describe it, but I'd say the reason why that song in particular popped off was just like timing in that, like, years ago when SoundCloud was really healthier. I just honestly like a healthier platform,
So I've got one more question for you about Black Coffee, and then we'll move on to bigger and better things. But I was curious as I was kind of going through Spotify and SoundCloud and YouTube and just kind of trying to figure out how many plays, an accurate idea of how many plays Black Coffee has gotten in total. I noticed it's not on your personal SoundCloud profile, and it's also not on your personal YouTube profile, but it's uploaded many times on SoundCloud, giving you credit, but it's a bunch of other people uploading it, and it's the same thing on YouTube. And most of these videos and most of these uploads have tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of plays. So I was curious as to why it's not on your SoundCloud.
It was on SoundCloud. I mean, I put it on Spotify and all that, like a number of years ago, like kind of well after the record after I put out the record. But anyway, last year, kind of out of nowhere, I just got a message from SoundCloud that was like, this was not long after kind of rolled out all the monetization, like on SoundCloud. So people are actually making their money, and like the record labels are closing in. I mean, I think Sony bought SoundCloud or some shit. Yeah, a couple years ago.
Day. Yeah.
So anyway, I got a random third party who claimed the song, which I'm assuming is Sony or RCA or like one of these labels who was rifling through tracks, and they're like, ooh, okay, like you sampled Peggy Lee, you sampled like Dexter Gordon for 3 seconds. I'm sure that's, even though she's been dead for like 50 years, rest in peace, you know, to the God. But like, I still don't know why they got taken off. They just said there is copyrighted material in this.
Well, the fascinating thing to me is that they made you take it down, or not made you, they took it down off SoundCloud for you.
Yeah.
But there's still dozens of other people on YouTube and SoundCloud who have uploaded the song multiple times.
I think at the time it had like 6 million or 7 million plays or something crazy, which is now Spotify is getting there because no one listens to it on SoundCloud.
I guess that's one thing though, is that even though it was around 6 million plays when it got taken down, I was going through, because I was for a moment trying to count up all of the different videos to get some sort of grand total of plays and streams. And it's well over, you know, the 1.5 to 2 million mark between YouTube and SoundCloud, you know, of all the different random people uploading it. So
for sure.
It's a loved song, and I think that's a very important thing.
Yeah, and I'm very grateful to, like, you know, I'm really grateful to been a part of that, like, beginning of.
All right. Before we push on with the interview, I want to make a quick acknowledgement. You may have noticed that this camera changed a little bit ago, and now Edo Lee's camera has changed just now. It wouldn't be a Seco Sessions without technical difficulties, so thank you for bearing with us. We're going to continue pressing on with the interview here. In an interview with Third Coast back in 2014, they had asked you had mentioned that you go for a smooth, nostalgic sound and atmosphere when you're making your music. I was curious if that still resonates with you, that smooth, nostalgic vibe. Are you still going for that, or is it something a bit more evolved now?
Like, the new record with Rob is definitely cleaner. It's less like dirty and dusty type of. I'd say it still sounds pretty timeless though. Like, the record definitely sounds like that. It's definitely
I would agree.
When I showed you some of the songs with like some of my like female vocalists who were just so on point, you know, like, and you can tell that they're kind of freestyling it, you know. Yeah, I'd say it definitely sounds timeless, and I say that to a lot of my friends. I'm like, yo, you're like, we all make stuff that anybody can listen to, like, at different ages and be like, ooh, this is kind of cool. I understand this. Like, it has connections to the past and the future. So
maybe in a few generations, people will be listening to the music right now, you know, that may be old at that point. They'll start sampling, you know, all the music from today.
I mean, we're all just going to be like downloading stuff through our eyelids. So
Speaking of music, of your music today, as we were just mentioning about a week ago, you let me listen to your new record that hasn't come out yet. I was curious if it had a name. Does it have a name yet?
Yeah, the one with Rob. We called it Confluence. So
gotcha.
I love Rob. We were actually born like our birthdays were like a day apart, which was kind of interesting. So we like celebrated 2 birthdays together since we met like about 2 years ago this time. I mean, it's like 2020 barely counts as a year, but it's like, because everyone's like, what happened this year? I don't know.
But a lot of creations going on in 2020. So,
big time.
You know, in some ways, you know, it's been a pretty shit year, but in some ways it's been a pretty great year in terms of music and art and creation. So
I think people are really getting back to what they like, hobbies that they maybe stepped away from, you know. But I like that idea of like confluence, because like the favorite things I've ever made were with people, because of the memory of making it, you know. Like, the memory of like being in the studio and making something out of nothing is like really powerful. So I mean, anybody who makes music, they'll be like, you're playing with time, and that's like really crazy. You know, it's like sculpting. You're like making something out of nothing.
Sonic sculpture.
Yeah, and my friend Mari Getty's definitely like that.
I guess even though people can't quite hear it, actually, do you know when it's coming out? Is there some idea?
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm just finishing up the artwork, so it's like.
So it might come out before this even releases.
Hopefully, yeah. I've been trying to get it out this most of this year, and monkey wrenches keep coming in.
For everyone else to compare it to their favorites, of all the songs on the record, Which song is your favorite? Like, what comes to mind right off the top?
I really like Brighter Days, which is like that. It's more of a slower, groovy song with this nice organ on it, and that's just Rob. I mean, the one that you can actually hear, the single that we released, is called Never Know. That's the one with Rob, with Nan on it, and it's on my SoundCloud.
Go check it out.
Yeah, Confluence is gonna come out through Budokiba. I was hoping to get it out this month, but it's January.
That's good. We're looking forward to it. All right. Well, Edo Lee, before I ask you the last question, one of my favorite segments on the show is I really enjoy exchanging music with whoever's on here with me. What's some sort of song or artist or album that you've been listening to a lot lately?
Oh, that's interesting. Damn. I guess, honestly, I went and bought a bunch of records at the Restore the other day. So
always a good find there.
Yeah, like I forgot how much I like just listening to a whole record, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Only the Righteous, my boys. I was playing you some of their stuff.
Sweet.
Only the Righteous, that I've been listening to that like all year. So that came out through Budokiba, and I was like I love what we do, but it's not often that I'm surprised. Like I didn't hear any of the record before he dropped it. I knew he was dropping the record, but I didn't know how much I would be like, whoa, this is awesome. So they're a 3-piece band.
Album that I've been listening to a bunch lately. It's called, let me refresh. It's a long name. It's called Arcade Destinations Living Room. And my friend Gonzalo was visiting me from South Florida a few weeks ago. And we were up on the roof playing chess. And this album came on, and it was just really good. It was like one great song after another. We're like, hey, who is this? We want to listen to this later. And we checked it out, and it's Cascade. Do you know Cascade?
Oh, you mean like the EDM producer?
Yeah, Cascade. He makes like EDM and trance and everything. And I remember growing up, any like big electronic music festival, he was like always headlining and something like
Cascade with a K, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I remember.
But he came out with this album called Arcade Destinations Living Room, and it's all chilled out. It's really great.
And that's what's kind of cool about like producers in general. Like you should be able to, I mean, think about like Kenny Beats, so famous now, but he was an EDM producer. Like he was making dubstep and stuff, and then he just kind of was so easy to work with and so like flexible with what he can make that he became like the go-to guy.
Cool. Well, I'll go ahead and link those down below. Go ahead and check it out. And if, especially during these times, if you like the music that's being suggested or any of the music that Edo Lee's speaking about today, if you enjoy it and you find yourself streaming it a lot, please do consider buying it. Streaming, it gives you a fraction of a penny per stream, and it really makes a big difference to just go out and spend a whole dollar on a song that you really enjoy, or a $10, whatever it is for an album. It's worth it. It keeps the artist going, and we really appreciate any support going into the music industry right now. So
go on Bandcamp
yes.
when they do their Friday thing.
Bandcamp is my favorite platform right now.
Well, you actually see it too. Like, I mean, I still do that when I get money from mine. I think I'm like, I should really buy my friends stuff. So I go on 100%. There. Yo, getting $10 kind of makes your day.
For sure.
Like it's happened to me. I'm like, oh, lunch is free today. Yeah. Like that's totally lit. Thank you, somebody who was listening to my record. Like, thank you, because it's rare that there's that close of a connection.
100%. So Edo Lee, thank you again so much for being on Seco Sessions. It's been a massive honor having you here. And I'm going to hit you now with the final question. Essentially, the universe is this, massive, infinite, massively large and massively small, unending experience. And what's so fascinating about it is while the universe is playing out, just every moment that we're thinking about it or not, it's creating. The universe is creating through solar systems destroying themselves and all these things. And then right here on Earth, people are creating every day through swimming or creating through writing or painting or talking. Some people create through dance and just walking. Some people get dressed and they're creating, and there's just an infinite medium to create through. And I'm always interested to hear why, of all of the mediums you could be creating through, and you create through quite a few, but of all the mediums, why do you find yourself creating through the medium of sound?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a really nice way to put it, because I talk to a lot of people who don't, they always the question of why would I spend my time being creative if it's, if what I'm focusing on, which is the results, are maybe not feeding me the right way. Maybe you need that. But I think especially through like Shambhala Buddhism, you learn a lot about, like I read a lot of that kind of stuff, like when I was not well, and it helped me kind of realign myself with what made me happy. And that was the creative process, and being present and feeling that energy when you're present and you're making is like, there's nothing like it. I mean, it can keep me high for days, I mean, it can also keep me up for days, which isn't healthy. But making music, especially making it yourself and recording and experiencing that playback and like that experience of making something up out of thin air, it's like you feel like you got a superpower, you feel like you're literally time traveling, like you're warping time. You take something, if you don't like it enough that much, you slow it down a bit, see how that feels. There's so many like colors in sound. When I think that, I'm running out of ideas, just like splattering on a page, you start doing that with music, and it's shocking, like the kind of stuff that you can find.
Well, Edo Lee, really appreciate you taking the time and sticking through all the technical difficulties that we witnessed today. It's usually at least one per show, but this session had at least 3, but we made it through. We got a great show for everyone. I'm super excited to put it together and for everyone to listen to it. So once again, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Brett.
Yeah, of course.
Doing it for I was telling you that before, that you're doing this for, you're doing it for the culture, man. It's good for, like, Taos is so full of
100%
energy, so.
It's for the people.
Grateful. So, but yeah, thank you again, Brett.
Yeah,
it's an honor. Yeah.
Honor to have you on.
For sure.
All right. Well, I'll put links down in the description for all the things that we mentioned throughout the show. So please do go and check that out. Support your musicians, support your artists. And until next time, we'll see ya.
Lots of love, y'all.
Right on.
Thanks, dude.
Yeah, man.